Hello and welcome back to one more ranked arena draft from Modern Horizons 3 back in July. This is draft number 15 here with me, Mike. And yeah, as we've talked about before, we're trying to make our push into the top 1,000 Mythic. We are tragically in the middle of a pretty extensive skid here. I think for the first time since we've started this, and honestly, the first time I can remember where we have a losing record over the course of a stretch here of like 6 drafts. But it is what it is. Starting off here with a 6 over a Party Thrasher and a Spawn Gang Commander. 6 was like the best green card out of the pack and the only good green card, really. So, taking the green card, passing a couple red cards, people can fight over them if they want to. And we'll get started with a pretty decent rare. 6 allows for some pretty grindy games. Very exciting. Yeah, being able to rebuy various Eldrazi, the mid-range sized Eldrazi, and then sometimes in the later game, being able to rebuy a powerhouse. Six can put in a lot of grindy work in the middle of the game. Also, having reach randomly means you don't just die to things like the small flyers, which is nice. So here we go. We have Shifting Woodland, Hopeender, Coatl, and I guess the Etched Slith are kind of the best things that I'm looking at. I like the Coatl just fine, and as we've mentioned many, many times before, the Eldrazi shell tends to be the best thing you can be doing in Modern Horizons Limited. So, Petrifying Meddler over Warp Tusker. Tusker's nice for the ability to cycle, but it's just a big dumb body. The Petrifying Meddler having some amount of utility while also being a big dumb body. Here we have Stump Stomp versus Copy Crook. Modal dual-faced lands do tend to be the way we want to go. So the Stump Stomp is probably my pick here. Yeah. Also, notably, Copy Crook doesn't get the cast triggers for Eldrazi. So if you're Copy Crook to make another Petrifying Meddler, you do get the 4/5, but you're not getting the stun counter. There is nothing in this pack that we want given where we're at. Yeah, the Skittering Precursor is probably the best card. We're not going to touch this Branching Evolution. Somebody else can have it. And the landscape was off color, so. This is not a great start to a draft. Like, none of the cards are bad, per se. Flare of Cultivation and Warren Soul Trader. In this pack, 2 rares coming around. The Flare of Cultivation is pretty whatever, but it does help you splash if you want to. The Warren Soul Trader is nice. That card is actually just good, but so far we aren't in black. Just a case of, as per normal in Modern Horizons, the black cards are getting shipped around the table, since players tend to avoid black. Alright, so we do wind up grabbing the Soul Trader. We could have taken the Flare. If we take the Flare, it makes any splashes we might make just a little bit easier. But I guess in sort of true, so does the Warren Soul Trader. But we do have to convert our creatures into mana for Soul Trader to fix our mana. Also, it was another 3-drop either way. So far we have 4 threes, a 5, and then Stump Stomp as a modal dual-faced card. So we pretty desperately need to find some cheaper cards as well. Like, we need our 1 and our 2 drops to make sure that we can have a decent curve. Okay. So, here's a random dumb mythic that looks pretty powerful that I've never gotten to cast before. We already have red cards, we already have black cards, we already have green cards. I kind of just want to try the dumb mythic. And it makes Tarmogoyfs, right? Like, it has to connect, but once it connects, then it starts making a chain of large monsters to be able to keep attacking with. And it itself is a 5 mana 5/6, so it's pretty good rate. And as we can see, the black and the red are pretty wide open here as far as like being able to keep getting playables. I think we want the Dreamdrinker Vampire here, but it's close. Chargebug being able to give the Disa Menace, I think, might matter, so I could kind of be talked either way. We wield the Etched Slith here. So, yeah, the black cards continue to come around the table, which, you know, again, I mentioned a little while ago. So right now we look to be, I guess, we have an even number of red cards and green cards. Yeah, Expanding Ooze has to be the pick there. We're not in the Affinity deck, so the Terramander loses a ton of its value. The Ooze is fine either way. Yeah, uncommon for the Vault. Unplayable gold card, and Gift of the Viper, probably not something we're going to play, but we can keep it in mind that we have it sitting over there. Here we have a Basking Brood-Scale, another Expanding Ooze, or Pinnacle Monk. Pinnacle Monk will theoretically be a little bit harder to cast, and right now the only thing we have is a Stump Stomp to get back. So not exactly at its best right now. And I mentioned earlier in pack 1 that we really need some more cheaper cards, so the 2-drop is certainly helpful here. Normally I love the Refurbished Familiar, I love the Pigeon, but this really doesn't look like the kind of deck that's going to take advantage of it. But Territorial Color is beautiful. There's a Breathe Your Last in the pack that if we get super lucky we can wheel, but even if we don't wheel the Breathe Your Last, we might wheel the Accursed Marauder. So this pack was pretty good for us, getting a Territorial Color pick 3 with a good black card that we're hoping to wheel. I think we need the removal here. Right now, all we have is the one Stump Stomp. I think we need to take the Wither and Bloom here. Yeah. Unfortunately, pretty unlikely that we're going to get the Brood-Scale back out of that pack, and there was also an Accursed Marauder, so that pack was actually quite good for everything we wanted. But we got to take the thing that we need the most, and right now the thing that we need the most is interaction. So, at least this deck seems to be shaping up. You know, it looks like a semblance of a real deck. We need some more mana fixing, whether that be in the form of fetch lands, landscapes, or, you know, like Dryads. There's a pick 5 Nethergoyf, which is, like, just a good 1-drop anyway, but randomly is going to work with the Disa. We actually have a Leergoyf in the deck now, besides just the Disa. So there's a shot that we actually get triggers outside of just the Disa hitting. So that's interesting. Wrong landscape, unfortunately. And none of these cards are anything I want. So just take the rare for the gems. Another landscape that only finds one of our colors. The Shattered landscape. Huh. Did I misread that? Does that one find two of our colors? My bad if I did, but as long as the landscape finds two colors, we're pretty okay with it. Especially, like, we have the territorial color, and our mana is going to be a little bit wonky just by virtue of having three colors in our deck, so making sure that we have the ability to fix our mana. Notably, landscapes also play well with the Skittering Precursor. So Skittering Precursor and Territory Color, both happy to have landscapes, even if we don't have or need colorless mana. And then just the ability to fix our mana so that we can cast our spells. Warren Soul Trader also potentially able to help with that. That is a green-black landscape. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. So, one more. At this point, I think we're just looking to improve the quality of our creatures and get some top end. Right now we have a territory color and a Disa. So I think some more interaction should be prioritized. If we can find any more Wither and Blooms, Breathe Your Lasts, or similar, that's kind of what we're looking for. These random artifacts are not really it. The Flare of Fortitude doesn't do anything. The Foul Strike doesn't matter. Yeah, bunch of nothing here. I mean, the Modal Dual-Faced card is half on color, so maybe we can do something with it, but yeah, just sure. I don't think I really want to be stretching my colors that thin. That said, I think at least two of those deserts find a white source. So I suppose it's not impossible that I wind up playing this Knot Master, but it doesn't seem particularly likely to me. Deserted Temple is not something I'm looking for. Just more gems to the pool. The Simulacrum we could potentially play, but probably not. Alright, so there's a Ral in the Implicit Maze. There's an Eldrazi Repurposer. That's kind of it here. It's not particularly exciting. Yeah, I think we need the Repurposer. It seems that we've kind of settled on black-green with the light red splash. We're basically black-green splashing a Skittering Precursor and a Disa, the Restless. Which, on the plus side, means our mana gets to stay pretty easy. So here's a tough pack. We have the Nightshade Dryad that we were hoping for, but it's also in the pack with like an Ophiomancer, a second Soul Trader, and a Ghostfire slice. I took the Ophiomancer here. We get really lucky and hit a second Nightshade Dryad, which I'm reasonably certain is the pick over a second Basking Broodscale. Yeah, okay. So we got lucky to see a second one in a row after passing the first. But I think grabbing the Ophiomancer. Like, we have the Warren Soul Trader to make use of the Ophiomancer tokens outside of just the obvious having a death touching snake every turn. We have the Dreadmobile, though we're very likely to cut it. Yeah, we're very likely to cut it, even if we haven't yet. We pick up a second Wither and Bloom, which is very nice. As I mentioned, we could definitely use a little bit more interaction. There's a Fanged Flames as well. We can keep the red splash light and still want this Fanged Flames. You don't need to cast Fanged Flames on turn 2 for it to be good. So I'm very much on board with picking it up so that we have another piece of interaction. Right now, I would say the Dreadmobile and the Refurbished Familiar are the two weakest cards that we have. We still have room for a couple more playables before we have to make cuts, though. This pack has nothing, so just take the rare, probably. Like, I'm not going to play any of these cards. I don't want the Void Pouncer. I'm not going to play any of it. Yep. Gem for the gem drawer. Alright, so we have the second Flare of Cultivation that we've seen this draft. There was one in pack 2, I think. We have a Boggart Trawler, so a modal dual-faced card, and then also a Warp Tusker. I kind of like the Trawler over the Flare, I think, but the Flare is nice. Just the, basically guaranteed ability to fix our mana here. The Grim Servant seems fine. We are a base black deck, after all. Either of these lands help us? No. Okay. The Warren Soul Trader wheels, so we wind up with double Warren Soul Trader. Like, this deck's not terrible at this point. Like, I don't know that I'm excited, but it's got some neat synergies that we can try to take advantage of. The Disa is real cool. We actually have a Nethergoyf to go with the Disa, so maybe we get to do the thing. And that would be really cool if we do. I imagine making a Tarmogoyf every turn can end the game relatively quickly. So, alright. So, Draftsmith wants me to cut the Infernal Captor and the Dreadmobile, add in Gift to the Viper, and then change around the mana a little bit. It doesn't want me to play the Barbarian Ring. I'm pretty okay with the Barbarian Ring. Like, it's not incredible by any means, but that's okay. So, yeah, Dreadmobile out and Infernal Captor out in favor of Gift of the Viper. What do we have by way of interaction? We have 2 Wither and Blooms. We have a Fanged Flames. We had a Stump Stomp. Ophiomancer almost counts. We have a Skoa on the top end now. The Refurbished Familiar sucks. I almost want... With double Warren Soul Trader, I actually kind of like the Infernal Captor. Like, just we have 2 sack outlets in the deck, and being able to steal our opponent's threat and turn it into, like, both attack them with it and turn it into a treasure sounds pretty good to me. But yeah, so we just play it as is. I'm not a big fan of Gift of the Viper. So let's see what this deck can do. Green, black, green, red landscapes, so we can find our black source right away so that we can etch Slith on 2. We can hold off on the Barbarian Ring for as long as possible. We can also potentially skip the etch Slith in favor of finding the green source so that we can 6 on 3, but I don't think we really need to do that. Okay, so another black source is fine. Here's our 2-drop. It didn't get booped, so that's nice. We get to steal one of these energy with our Slith. Unfortunately, we miss on the green source here. So we are stuck taking a turn off. We both drew a green card. Sorry, I didn't understand how the interface was working with the Etch Slith. I didn't realize that I had to click on the player after we had already, like the arrow was already there. It just confused me for a minute. Not sure why we played Barbarian Ring there instead of just playing the second Swamp. We're not casting anything right this minute, so it's not like we're going to take the damage. Alright, opponent hits the 3-drop with the Amped Raptor, so that's unfortunate, but oh well. So they just get a free 3-drop in the Cyclops Superconductor. Appears that our opponent is full on Jeskai here. And haste, or are they not going to use it? They're not going to use it. Interesting. And they're not going to attack. That's very patient by our opponent. So we can't attack because the Raptor plus anything blocking just kills our Slith. We let Auto Tapper kick us in the ass here. We played our 6 and can't play our Nethergoyf because Auto Tapper decided to use both of our black mana. So, hey folks, always pay attention to Auto Tapper. It might be the best feature of Arena and the reason to play Arena, but sometimes it's dumb. We have a black 1-drop. We tapped all but 1 mana, and it decided that casting that black 1-drop was not something that we wanted to do. So, we could have done better by playing the Nethergoyf first, and then Auto Tapper doesn't get the opportunity to mess us up. But we also didn't just check, because we assumed it would leave up the 1 colored mana that we needed, and it did not. So, not sure if it's going to be the biggest deal in the world here, but it's certainly not good. I think that Nethergoyf is only like a 1-2 right now, so it's not like it's a gigantic blocker or anything, but obviously in matchups like this, it's just going to grow. Okay. Utter insignificance on the 6. They get the prowess trigger, but I don't think that's the biggest deal. So here we're probably playing the Nethergoyf. We could Grim Servant, but we're only getting a 2-drop at that point. 2-drop, we can get our Wither and Bloom Fanged Flames or Stump Stomp, I guess. Which I suppose does mean that the Grim Servant can be finding like a land, but that's okay. So here we go. More bodies in play. Opponent doesn't have colorless mana to exile the 6, which is nice. I don't think we have much to do about this, though. We don't have a way to destroy an enchantment. We don't have a way to bounce our 6. And I don't think we have any reanimates or raised deads, so I don't think we can even get it back from the graveyard. So, the utter insignificance basically just means I have a chump blocker. Dreamtide Whale is a large fella that I assume is going to have haste here. So, if we give the Dreamtide Whale haste, pretty sure we just chump with the 6. Like I said, we can't really do anything. We could also trade with the Nightshade Dryad. They're choosing not to give it haste. So again, opponent being very patient. I have no good attacks here. Or blocks, I mean. We could have, I suppose, put the Nethergoyf and the 6 in front of the Ampteraptor. It can only first strike down one of them, and if they want to use a trick to kill a recursive threat or the thing that's already hit by the utter insignificance, that's probably okay. So what am I most afraid of on this board? Because we could have played Territorial Color and then the land, but we didn't. We could just Skoa down anything other than the whale. Or we can Grim Servant and go find a 3-drop or lower. None of our creatures still block particularly well. I think... Alright. So what are we getting? We're getting the Stump Stomp. Sure. Alright, that's fair. So we for sure get to kill off the large whale with our Death Touch creature, assuming our opponent doesn't have, like, a Galvanic Discharge. I think if they had the Discharge, though, they probably would have given haste to the whale and, you know, gotten in, but we now have another type in the yard, so our Nethergoyf can actually block something. We have the Skoa as the follow-up. The Cyclops Superconductor isn't, like, terrifying, but the fact that if we kill it, it can pick off either our mana or one of our relevant creatures is a little obnoxious. Cyclops Superconductor is a very good card at just being annoying. It's not particularly powerful, but it's always an obnoxious thing that you have to clear at some point. But let's see what opponent does again. Seemingly a very patient player. They have not used their Conduit Goblin yet this game. Scurry of Gremlins. That makes some sense. That's a lot of energy. So that's 2 Scurry activations if they want it, which makes that Amped Raptor about impossible to block. The Cyclops Superconductor can deal a lot of damage. Yeah. So here we go. We've activated the Scurry, so it's definitely time to attack. So I don't think you use the energy on the Goblin here, but maybe. What do my blocks look like? Probably Grim Servant on the Superconductor, Nethergoyf on the Conduit Goblin. Trade off the 6 and the Slith. Take the damage from the Amped Raptor, maybe? Or just chump the Amped Raptor. Sure. So we're not trying to kill the Cyclops here. Like, our board all dies here. I think we're supposed to trade with the Cyclops. As it is, our opponent gets left with an Amped Raptor and a Cyclops Superconductor. We get left with a Nethergoyf and a Dryad. Nethergoyf is up to a 4/5. We can Skoa down. Probably. I think it's actually got to be the Cyclops here. Like, the first strike is annoying, but the Skoa has it checked, the Nethergoyf has it checked. I think we just have to get rid of this thing. It's going to be able to kill our Dryad, but at least the rest of our hand is castable without the extra mana. Like, now that we've got the 6-drop out of hand, that is the only thing that we needed the Dryad to help us cast. So I assume the Dryad's going to take a hit here. If it does, that means we can throw the Barbarian Ring at the Amped Raptor as well. Alright, they are paying, and they're going face. Alright, so we might be dead to, like, a Ghostfire Slice. We have 2 blockers back for this Amped Raptor. They don't have the extra energy to activate Scurry at the moment. So, I think we're... Like, unless they can go face, I think we're okay for now. Another Cyclops is scary. Again, we're at 4, which makes it very difficult for us to not get hit. I think ideal draw then is Wither and Bloom to be able to clear the Cyclops. And then not take any damage because of the, like, its power is reduced to 0. That's not a Wither and Bloom. It is a life-linking creature, though. If we're comfortable going to 3, we can double spell here. We can Vampire plus Sentry. I'm not sure we really want to go to 3, though. Yeah. So let's Sentry and Connive. Remember that opponent has the Scurry of Gremlins, so all they need is anything that gives them a prowess trigger. Okay. Interesting to discard the lifelinker. Now anything that gives them a prowess trigger is lethal. They can get the prowess trigger in the Cyclops, activate the Scurry of Gremlins, and then anything I block with will trade with the Cyclops. And we die to the ability. Oh, I guess they don't have the energy left if they do that. So they would need something that gives prowess and 2 energy. So we're dead to Attune the Narrative. We're dead to a Galvanic Discharge. Dead to a Jolted Awake. Dead to that? Yeah, I think we're dead to that. They get in for... Oh, they just get in for 4 in the air. Yeah, they have enough energy to just double activate the Scurry. So, if we had played the territory color there instead, does that change much? No, because they still get to double activate the Scurry, and then we're dead to the Cyclops. So I guess the only way we don't die that turn is by having the lifelinker. But if we play the lifelinker, then we can't block the flyer, so we do die. So yeah, no, never mind. There is no way that the cards that we drew keep us alive that turn, unfortunately. Alright, round 2. And our opponent has a turn 2 Psychic Frog on the play, so we're probably dead. Yeah. So I think what we need to try to set up here is a double Wither and Bloom to try to clear the frog, but even then, that's what, 5 cards out of their hand? I don't know if you guys, if anybody's watching, has ever drafted Psychic Frog or just had Psychic Frog on the table turn two. It's very, very difficult to lose. Um, you should always be willing to basically just pitch your whole hand. There's a Volatile Storm Drake. Okay, taking my Soul Trader. It says another, so we can't sacrifice itself. Which, to be fair, I don't know that we want to, because then we don't get the Drake, and then we're facing down the 3-2 and the Frog. So if we block here, they discard 2 cards. Yep. Yep. So they discarded 2 cards. The problem here is that the Frog is still... Like, those are counters. They don't go anywhere. So that Frog is a 3-4. And even double Wither and Bloom doesn't actually clear the Frog. We try to target it twice, and it gets -6 toughness, but they still have all 3 cards to discard to keep it alive if they want to. And the first one doesn't do anything, so they don't even feel the need to... They don't have a need to respond. So... yeah, like I said, Psychic Frog is nigh unbeatable on turn 2. You need a Breathe Your Last or a Fell the Profane or something that just destroy target creature type effect, but any damage based removal, like I have drafted Frog enough times and just pitched my hand or most of my hand to keep it alive, and the number of concessions you get just on turn 3, turn 4, because the Frog is now out of range of basically everything in your deck. It's wild, so... Feels bad. I don't know that... Like, I'm holding 2 Wither and Blooms, and I don't know that I have a way out of this game. Which is a nuts thing to say. I have 2 kill spells in my hand, and I think I'm going to die to this 2-drop. So, yeah, this is just a free attack. We can't really do anything. They get to draw another card. They can make the Frog a 6-7 at will. Alright. Yeah. Alright, we attack with the vampire, we gain back a couple life, we get the territory color down. Now they can make it a 7-8, so they can still attack with the Frog through the color. Sure. The longer the game goes on, the less likely it is that we can kill this Frog. And like I said, the fact that they did it on turn 2 means we were basically just all the way out. So best we can do at this point is play out an Expanding Ooze and then try to block and Wither and Bloom. And even that, they're going to go up to 5 cards in hand for turn. So they have what is functionally an 8-9. And we have, well, now less. I was going to say 5. We have 8 worth of Wither and Bloom plus double block. Frog is an unbelievably good card. I love this card, by the way. I don't want anybody to think that I'm like disparaging the fact that it's doing what it's doing. There are ways to kill it, we just don't happen to have any. Yep, Flying Frog. 5 cards in hand, all the untapped mana. Yeah. Sure. It's not lethal, right? 4, 3, 6, 7. They could hit for 11 here. So the Wither and Bloom's never going to clear the Frog, so we might as well try and get rid of this Warren Soul Trader so that we don't just keep getting our butts kicked. We do potentially have the ability to race with the Vampire growing from the Expanding Ooze, but the Frog is just burying me in cards as well. So we now need our opponent to not be able to interact. Well, that doesn't interact. Until it does? Sure. Okay, so they don't get the cast trigger from the Sphinx, but it is a 5/5 flyer. And then they have the Copy Crook. Yeah, sure. So we 5/9. Yeah. Okay, so we are taking a minimum of 12, 13, 14. I see 14 at a minimum. So I'm reasonably certain this means we're just dead. We can Wither and Bloom their Expanding Ooze, but they have 9 power showing, 10 by equipping the Dross Claw, 11 by attacking with the Dross Claw, 12, 13 from the 2 cards in their hand, 14 from whatever they draw. So if every card they have is worth absolutely nothing, we Wither and Bloom down the Expanding Ooze and then get overkilled. Assuming our opponent understands how to play Psychic Frog, which I assume they do since, they're playing it and we're dying. So they just have to figure out how to give +3 power, which could be as simple as discarding their hand. They could equip the Dross Claw. Sure. That's 10. Just equip, and I'm dead. I could just concede here. I should just concede here for my own mental energy. I am... Maybe they're thinking about Flare of Malice. Maybe they're concerned about me having Flare of Malice here. I'm pretty sure that I'm not getting priority. I'm not having to click anything. So if they're paying attention, they should realize that I'm not getting priority here. Are you going to discard your last card? There you go. Ta-da. So yeah, I was dead a bunch of different ways, and opponent just seemed to take a while to figure out how to kill me, I guess. Okay, 0-2. Not the start we were hoping for. We haven't drawn the Disa. We haven't really gotten to showcase any of what this deck can do. Here's that refurbished familiar that I said was going to be pretty bad in this deck, but it is what it is. Alright, so Dryad on 2. Don't boop it, please. It didn't get booped. Continue to not boop it, please. Alright, it got booped. So we can attack for 1 and turn it into mana now. Yeah. We can also just cast this, but... I think it's better to sacrifice rather than allow it to get exiled by the utter insignificance. It's not a huge deal, but we do have the Nethergoyf and the Leergoyf Lady to potentially want the different cards in our graveyard. So, having it in the graveyard rather than exiled makes some sense to me. We could play the landscapes, but we do have the territory color and our own skittering precursor, so it's potentially worth hanging onto the landscapes. We have the land drops. That said, we do need to start drawing spells, like we are flooding out here. There's a spell. We have 6 mana. We have a precursor that's probably worth killing, so let's just get this Skoa going and hope they don't have a Hope Ender Coatl. They don't. That's good. Sure. Alright. Didn't really see that coming, but yeah, that sure happened. Skoa of their own to clear our Skoa. Okay. This is a problem. There's a potential solution to the problem. So, color. Sure. Landscape. What do we hit? Yeah, we get a creature for free. Etch Slith. So we get to double spell, and the color drew us a card. Next turn we have landscape, second landscape, and crack up to both of them. Alright. So the precursor has menace, so we can't block, so now we have to trade with the Skoa. Or take 9. Jesus. Yeah, alright. I don't know how we win from here. So, land. Trigger the thing. Come on, Warren Soul Trader. Alright, that's a pretty good one all told, just because we get a bunch of bodies out of it, and bodies equal chump blockers. So, yep, skittering precursor. Crack a landscape. Okay. Sure. Still cracking a landscape. So we should have cracked the landscape before we played the Basking Brood Scale. It gives us another territory color trigger, and that might have changed what we wanted to do with the mana. Yeah. So waiting longer doesn't make much sense to me when we know that we could have drawn something that cost 4 mana that we would have wanted to do over the Basking Brood Scale plus adapt, but we didn't give ourselves the opportunity to do that. And I'm not sure that there is anything that we would have wanted to do or that we even would have hit on the color, but we still should have cracked the landscape. We denied ourselves the opportunity to find something. So, yeah, crack the landscape in response. This color is going to get exiled. There's not anything we can do about that. They have the colorless mana up, so. Yeah. Well, we're 3 for 3 on color hits. So that's nice. I love that Utter Insignificance turns off Devoid. It's just a very funny, like, flavor thing to me. Yeah. I like this block. Opponent has 1 card that we don't know about. This leaves us with our 3/3 and all of our mana. And clears the menace creature that's killing us. They could have cracked their landscape there. Okay. Harrogast is a giant flying thing. So we still have Warren Soul Trader as an out. We have the Infernal Captor, so we can, and we draw that out. That's awesome. Okay, so steal your Harrogast by exploiting this token. And then attack for 9. Yeah. And then, so we could have Warren Soul Tradered for 1 through the Harrogast, which I think is what we should do here. We only have the one black source left, so that was a mistake in tapping for the Infernal Captor. But either way, so yeah, I don't. This makes us pay a life. I don't think there's a shock rather than like Ghostfire Slice, but in any case, I think we should have emerged with the Warren Soul Trader, and that would have saved us a point of life. As it is, because we didn't emerge, we got to sacrifice the Haragast to the Soul Trader rather than the emerge. Either way, we would have sacrificed the Haragast, which let us cast the Dream Drinker Vampire this turn. So, opponent up to 3 cards in hand with the weird from the Ral and the Implicit Maze, and here's an Eldrazi Winebreaker to shoot down my 3/3. Gives itself haste? Yeah, okay. Gives itself haste and trample. I think here we just block with the Captor. We go to 1. But we kill off the Linebreaker. And now we can gain some life by adapting the Vampire and getting in. We've got the weird checked at least for a minute. Yeah, if they had like a kill spell or something, they would have used it already. So yeah, they're just trading off the weird. So now any land we draw is good because we can rebuy like a color or a Skoa or any of the other stuff in our graveyard. Yeah, this is a big fella. So, okay, we did not draw land, so we can't get back the stuff in our yard. That's fine. We can play the Netherglyph. We have creature, land, artifact. Anything else? I don't know if we have instant or sorcery in there. I don't believe we've drawn Wither and Blooms. I don't remember casting a Stump Stomp. So, creature, land, artifact, something. What is the last one? I don't know. In any case. So the Titan's Vanguard is obviously scary, but we do have enough power and toughness in play to kind of gum it up a little bit. And thanks to the Vampire getting the 1 hit in, we are back up to 4 life. So presumably as long as we can block, we're not dead here. That said, opponent still has 3 cards in hand. Gatekeeper is scary. Gatekeeper definitely gets me dead off the back of like a Writhing Chrysalis, basically. So, sure. So, tap the Netherglyph and the Lifelinker. I have to chump with the 6 to not die. And they have me dead in the air now. Alright, that sucks. I don't know. This... It doesn't feel like our deck is terrible, but we are very dead. That's an 0-3. The good news is that I live in the future, and I know that this is the end of this skid. After this draft, we are going to go on a nice little run towards our path to Mythic. But I want to, like, before I worry about that, I want to kind of, like, look at this list and figure out if something went wrong, or if we got bad pairings, or what exactly happened here. Because looking at this deck, it looks fine. This isn't the best deck I've ever drafted or anything like that. But like, other than the Psychic Frog just being a Psychic Frog and outclassing everything we were doing, considering it came down so early, it felt like we just kind of got ground out. You know, the Scurry of Gremlins from round one gave our opponent burst damage, so good for them. And then that last game, I guess it was just like we had gotten to a point where both of us were down to our last cards, and our opponent, you know, played the Harrogast, which drew them some cards, and of those cards, they hit Titan's Vanguard and the Riddle Keeper. Like, I don't know. I don't know if we just got outdrawn in the latter part of the game, or if our deck is just worse than it looks like on paper, because this sure looks like it should be able to grind and hang in there, and then get some good card advantage with Six and Disa and Territory Color. The Infernal Captor being able to, you know, sacrifice cards to the War and Soul Trader. Like, there are situations, not that they came up in this draft, where we could be not very close to looping if we can be Infernal Captoring, sacrificing the things to the Soul Trader, and then rebuying the Infernal Captor with like 6, for example. You know, we can get some very good advantage there. Not that it came about this draft, but this one's a little disappointing. An 0-3 with this deck feels really bad. I think the deck was cool, but like I said, if anybody's continuing to watch along this series, this is the turning point. This is the last of this run where we have a losing record, and we will start to kick up with the next draft. So I hope everybody who's watching can look forward to that and take something away from even these bad drafts. In any case, thanks a lot for joining me. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye.